This is Cromar with TGN, welcoming you to another World of Warcraft Cataclysm video. This is a follow-up to the Rogue Assassination DPS rundown from back one of the first videos we did for DPS rundown, and we're going to check on the upgrades that have happened and see how much they've buffed Rogue DPS. Spoiler alert, it's a lot, so it's really nice, and this will be a fun video to watch, or at least to make. But so the first thing I want to look at is garrote versus ambush. If you remember in the first video, it was actually a lot more DPS to use ambush as your opener, and every time you stealth. And the reason was that garrote plus Venomous Wounds didn't do enough damage to overcome the damage from ambush, and the energy you get over time from Venomous Wounds, while it's good. I mean, I'm not knocking Venomous Wounds. While the energy you got was good, it wasn't as good as the 2 instant combo points you got from ambush at the start to get your cycle going. So I don't think I showed that actual test in the video because it was kind of long and boring. So what I decided to do was go ahead and do the test again, but I'm actually going to show the recount results instead of just talking about them. Now, what they did was they boosted Venomous Wounds by an enormous amount. I think, what did the patch notes say, like 66% or something? So it really shows here because Venomous Wounds is totally kicking ass. So what I did was I just did 5 ambushes and 5 garrotes to a dummy. Real simple test. This character is just a blank pre-made. I haven't even gemmed their enchantment. It doesn't really matter. My spec, this is not my final spec. This is purely for this test because I wanted to get improved ambush and opportunity maxed out, and that way we could just see garrote versus ambush with ambush maxed out. What does it do? Well, the answer is an ambush does about 13k average in this gear. Now, this isn't going to be the final ambush numbers because once you have everything gemmed and enchanted, it'll obviously do more, but so will garrote, so it's equal. But garrote and Venomous Wounds added together does a lot more now, thanks to the buff to Venomous Wounds. Garrote does about what is that, about 6k and change, and then Venomous Wounds, because it's 5 garrotes, remember, 6 ticks each, and then Venomous Wounds does about 13k and change, and adds up to about 20k. I think it's 20, where's my calculator, 20,500 and change. That it actually did for each garrote. So obviously it's already better than ambush just based on the damage alone. Plus it gained about 40 energy and an average of 4 procs per garrote. And that looks about right. 20 out of 20 procs of Venomous Wounds for 30 ticks of garrote is about 60%. It's 66%. So that's very close to the 60% proc rate that you expect from Venomous Wounds. What a hell of a talent. This is a great talent, by the way. So the conclusion is that I would say that the 2 combo points you gain from ambush instantly do not make up for the energy over time and the additional damage granted by garrote anymore. More importantly, although it's still close, because those 2 combo points are really valuable for getting your cycle rolling, it's close, but I would say that what puts it over the top too is the fact that you can get rid of improved ambush now. You don't need it anymore except for PvP. So you don't need this spell. I mean, I guess you could get it for trash and then, you know, have a dual spec or something. So I'm going to go ahead and respec for the second part of this video, get rid of improved ambush. I'm going to max out Relentless Strikes, and then 2 in probably Night Stalker or improve ambush, whatever. It doesn't actually affect the test, but I think I would use a Night Stalker for a raid, for a mobility and whatnot. And then with my remaining talents, what I'm going to do is do 3 opportunity and 2 precision. After all, you can gear up the bonus from precision, but you cannot gear up the bonus from opportunity. And mutilate is like 20 to 25% of your damage, somewhere in that range off the top of my head. So obviously a single talent point that gives you a 10% boost to a spell of that power is obviously extremely valuable. Now, for my next test, I'm trying to get some of the gear and the stats sorted out for Assassination Rogue, and I'm trying to figure out the value of mastery. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've reforged and gemmed out of mastery and into spirit and dodge, because as you probably heard, spirit is now the primary stat for Rogue. No, I'm kidding. No, that's not the reason why I'm doing it. What I actually want to do is find out whether or not 2 specific skills in Venom and Venomous Wounds are affected in any way by mastery. So the test is very, very simple. All I'm going to do is I take off any kind of random thing. I put on some just random crappy white daggers with no landslide proc, because that's the AP proc. And I took off my trinkets because honestly, I don't even know if those procs will affect it, but I don't care. I just want to make absolutely sure, I have total peace of mind that I'll have no variables in this test. So all I want to do is I don't even want to know the total damage of Envenom or the real damage of Envenom and of Venomous Wounds. All I want to know is what's the average damage, non-crit and crit, before mastery and then after mastery. So right now I have 10.52 mastery. I'm going to do the test, and then I'm going to switch everything out and then do the test again with higher mastery, with like 14-ish mastery. And And so that'll be a very large difference. As you see, it's 3.5% per mastery point. So it should be extremely easy to prove for sure. I mean, there should be no real room for error, even if with a sample size of like 10 or 20, we'll be fine. So it's simply a matter of, I'm going to open with garrote, put a rupture up, and just pretty much cycle in venoms and keep rupture up. And rupture will continue to spawn those venomous wounds, and then the venom will do damage. And I'm not really concerned about the total damage, you know, crits and stuff like that. All I want to know is, does it go up after I put out mastery? Okay, there we go. So, what I just did was I finished just a very short DPS cycle. All I did was rupture and venom, 5-point in venom, and rupture, whatever, doesn't matter. Stop it. I hate how a recount does that. Did about 8 in venoms and had about 22 ticks of venomous wounds. Now, you might say that's a small sample size. Well, look at the variance here. There's no variance. It's plus or minus 1. In Venom's the same way. So both of these skills, clearly, there's no variance whatsoever. So large sample size isn't really necessary. Again, not worried about crit chance, not worried about total damage, just worried about setting a baseline with no mastery, then increasing the mastery on only mastery and seeing how it changes. So there's your numbers. 7176, 14782. Venomous Wounds, 3086, 4768. It's also interesting how Venomous Wound doesn't get a double damage on the proc, on the crit, whereas Venom does. Oh, what's up with that? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do that reforging now, fix the gems and reforge, and then come back and retry the test. Now, okay, I'm back here. My reforging efforts have given me about 2 more mastery. That doesn't sound like much, but it is about 7% damage. And with these numbers being so static, it's not a problem. I mean, even like a 3 or 4% would be able to get a conclusive result, since the margin of error is like nothing. So anyway, I'm going to do the exact same thing again with same weapons, no trinkets, and the same stats except for swapping out useless stats for mastery. And yeah, so let's see what it looks like. Alright, so that was quick. Roughly the same sample size, 16 and 7, whatever, there's no difference. So let's look at those damage ranges before they disappear on me again. Oh, recount, you're the best. Oh my god. Okay, so in Venom, 71, 76, 14, 783. Does that remind you of anything? Yeah, unfortunately, in Venom, with 2 extra mastery, has done exactly the same damage. It's done jack. The mastery didn't do anything. So Venom is not affected by the mastery. How about that? Even though it says on the tooltip that consumes deadly poison and deals instant poison damage, that poison damage is not affected by potent poisons. Is that on purpose? Is that intentional? It feels like a bug to me because it doesn't seem logical in the slightest. And I think that is something that they should probably look at. Fortunately, I mean, these percentages are meaningless here, but of course, but in a real DPS situation, Venom is like 7-8% of your DPS as assassinations, so this is not the end of the world, but it does detract slightly from the mastery, but it's still a very good mastery. Don't get me wrong, because it's still your deadly and instant. And then for the last one, Venomous Wounds, it went up. Look at that. It did go up. Now, since these have no variance and there was no other variables changed besides mastery, you can conclude conclusively that the mastery did improve Venomous Wounds. Now, what this means for you is that you want to gear mastery because it will buff your Venomous Wounds, which is a huge part of your DPS. Not as just like right behind deadly and instant poison, I believe, and it's still bringing about half or slightly over half of your total damage is going to come from poison that's affected by this very excellent mastery, which gives a huge return for mastery. I mean, 3.5% on any mastery is huge. I mean, main gouge is 2. It's horrible, and execution roll. We'll get to that in the next video, but 3.5% is real nice. It's still a very, very good mastery that'll be made even better if they fix in Venom to work with potent poisons. I'd like to see a blue poster on that, by the way. I'd like to find out if that's intentional or if that's a bug. But there you go. That's how it is in this build of the beta. So now it's time to do a good old-fashioned dummy test. This is on the 333 rogue, using all 333 gear, no in gems, enchants, or reforges. And blue weapons also. So we're gonna just do the same, basically the same rotation. The main difference is that per some, I was reading through the comments basically for the first one and got some good constructive criticism that was very civil and coherent, and I learned from it. And thank you for the people who did that. Not that I've gotten non-constructive criticism in other videos. No, that's never happened. But anyway, so what I've done is I've changed up my opening. First of all, I saved Vendetta for the first big Envenom, like a first 5-point Envenom. I do a Vendetta Cold Blood for a big explosive Envenom. Plus, it's kind of fun. But the point is that you use it after you got your cycle going, you got all your dots going and everything. Then you get the most out of it that way. And that shouldn't be very long. It shouldn't be more than 5 or 6 seconds into your cycle. The opening is garrote, as I talked about before. Garrote over ambush now, and then after that, slice and dice, and then get a rupture up. And the important thing about rupture, and I was wasting way too many combo points used on rupture before. The important thing about rupture is it does jack squat damage, and the whole reason you want it is just to proc your Venomous Wounds. So imagine like it's a special buff or debuff that doesn't do any damage itself, it just has some other secondary effect. That's kind of what it does, really. And so what you want to do is you want to get rupture up all the time, but there's no need to worry about getting max points, because you can always just refresh it later. And the actual damage that you may lose by doing a 2 or 3 point rupture instead of a 5 point is so not even a factor. You can actually gain damage by doing that, because by using it right away, and then you can get right back into your mutilate and envenom cycle faster instead of having to wait before you can get back to doing envenom. So that's why I'm just launching rupture much earlier. It just every time it gets low, I just hit it. No matter how many combo points I have, I just hit it right away. And this also makes it easier to keep up slice and dice with this. It just makes it really, really easy, and the whole rotation kind of flows together. And nothing changed there. It was just my my play style changing. In this gear, I have cooldown from a trinket. In the epic gear, it was all on equip stuff. It wasn't on use stuff, so it wasn't part of the test. But in the blue gear here, I do have that. I just work. It's a 2-minute cooldown, so I just work it in with my other cooldowns. And you just saw me use it a minute ago while I was talking. I also use Vanish Garrote instead of Vanish Ambush, which is not a surprise. And when Garrote and Rupture up at the same time, you get a lot of procs of Venomous Wounds. Not only damage, but lots of energy, which is cool. So when I stopped tanking, it actually left me at 8,001. No kidding. So as close as possible to 8,000 DPS. That's a huge result and way, way better than the previous result. And granted, part of that was me playing better, but it was also because of the major buffs that the Assassination Rogue received, and that's why they're doing very well. So 8,000 in this test with this gear and all the situations I've set up here is one of the higher results, actually. Better than any of the mage results by a hair, better than the hunter results, certainly better than the old rogue results. It's up there with the DK and like the warrior. Anyway, the actual damage, 8,000 DPS. Breakdown, you have mutilate and melee in here, and then the rest are poison. At the bottom of the list, of course, are Rupture and Garrote. These are terrible, but the reason you have them is not for their own damage, of course, just for Venomous Wounds. I just want to remind you that because, why not? There's one other thing I want to look at. Energy gained 1710. Venomous Vim, 860. Relentless Strikes, 800. Cold Blood, 50. There you have it. There's the breakdown for the new Assassination Rogue post-buff. He's very, very fun to play. I did do some heroics, although I didn't get footage that was very useful for purposes of DPS testing, because I did 2 heroics in a row, and they were both heroics where all the bosses were screwy in some fashion. Immunity shields and freaking ads, and the last boss of Throne of the Tides, who is hilarious, and does a and you gain like a bonus where you do like 1,000% damage or something like that. So obviously that number wasn't very helpful either. So really, I didn't get any good data to really test, but I can tell you from playing the Assassination Rogue that it plays very well. The cycling is really fun. Redirect is awesome. I love redirect so much, and there's so many other great things that are going on with the Rogue right now. As long as you don't play combat. That's the only trick. Just don't play combat. Play Assassination. If you like combat, wait for it to get buffed, because it needs it bad. Well, thank you for watching on my long-winded diatribe about the Assassination Rogue. This was the follow-up to DPS Rundown Assassination post-buff, and my name is Crowmar, asking you as always to please rate, please comment, and please subscribe.